Well, hey friends, this is Jennifer, and this is the Jennifer Allwood Show, the podcast for women who want to find freedom in both their life and in their business. I own a multi-7-figure-a-year coaching business. I'm also a certified life coach. So I have the honor of helping thousands of women every single month make money in the online space and help them to get unstuck from whatever is holding them back, all without sacrificing their faith or their family. In this show, you're going to get the very best life and business advice, always with a healthy dose of Jesus. So buckle in, my friend. I'm so excited that you are here. Well, hey friends, this is Jennifer, and this is podcast episode number 301. I'm going to do a little storytelling on this podcast episode. I'm actually super excited to share this story with you guys. So if you follow me on social media, you may know that in the past week, well, last week, we've just had a really exciting couple of weeks. So Jason and I closed on our new home in Arizona. We have our home in Florida that's called Bougie on the Beach, and it's spelled Boujee for Jennifer and Jason. So Bougie on the Beach, and that's on Instagram. We also have, we just purchased a home in Arizona, so it's called Bougie in the Desert. You can find that on Instagram as well, and you can kind of see the theme and where we're going there. So I'll let you kind of guess as to where we're going next, but that's not what I'm talking to you about today. So what I'm talking about today is our exciting couple of weeks. So Jason and I closed on our new home in Arizona, and then we went and spent, I'm so sorry, I've got a little bit of a cough, so bear with me. Went and spent a week inside Arizona to start the remodel, because if you followed me for any length of time, you know that remodeling is my love language. I love knocking out walls. I love redoing things. I love wallpaper. I love repainting. I love new flooring. I love every bit of it. We completely gutted our home in Florida. And so we're basically doing the same thing in Arizona, and we'll have that up in order to be rented in plenty of time for the Super Bowl, which is in Phoenix. So yeah, exciting stuff, right? So Jason and I, we close on the house. We go down there. We just also celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. So super exciting couple of weeks. And we were getting ready to go down to Arizona, and I was on a call with the mastermind that I belong to. It's called the Wellspring. It's run by Pete Vargas, and it's a group of 7- and 8-figure-a-year entrepreneurs who are all believers. And I love this brand new mastermind that I've just recently joined. So we're on a call on Monday, and we have a Monday morning call and then prayer time. And Pete announces that we do have one guest come in and speak every month, and that our guest this month was going to be David Green. David Green is the founder and CEO of Hobby Lobby. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh goodness. Okay, this is really cool. So he was saying, David Green's going to be our guest. And I was instantly super excited. And I want to tell you kind of about my story with Hobby Lobby and why this was super exciting to me. In Kansas City, where I live, I have always lived kind of in between these two different Hobby Lobbies. And back in the day when I used to do a lot of like crafting and a lot of decorating, even more than what I'm doing now, and a lot of things for my painting company, I spent a lot of time at Hobby Lobby, going and getting supplies, going and shopping, going and just looking, etc. And I would always take Ava with me because it was before she was in school. And it was funny because I used to take Ava with me, and this was before Facebook Live was a thing and before Periscope was a thing, but iPhones were a thing. And so I would literally film Ava and I inside of the Hobby Lobby. And for the longest time, Ava always called it the Hobbly Lobbly. So I would call it the Hobbly Lobbly, and a bunch of you guys started calling it the Hobbly Lobbly, and that was super fun. So we'd go in, and I would do videos, and then I would go home and I would upload them to Facebook because, again, Facebook Live wasn't even a thing. Well, listen, the quality was not stellar because an interesting fact that I've learned about Hobby Lobby is a lot of times it is more cost effective for Hobby Lobby to take over an existing building in a community versus building from scratch. So a lot of times they will take over buildings that are already there, but many of them are like concrete walls. So even when Facebook Live did become a thing, it was hard to get really good reception inside of a Hobby Lobby because they really do a great job of like pouring into the community by buying up, sometimes existing real estate and what have you. But so anyhow, but Periscope and Facebook Live, they're not even a thing yet. So Ava and I would go in, I would do videos, I'd go home, I'd upload them. And then I did this for a long time, and it was just fun. I would go in and I would be like, these are my top 10 favorite things that I saw in Hobby Lobby today. Well, then Hobby Lobby reached out to me, And they was like, we've seen your videos. And I'm like, what? And of course I would tag them on them, but it's a huge corporation, a huge company. And I had no idea if they ever actually saw anything. And I didn't always tag them, but on occasion I would. So lesson number 1, tag some people, tag some companies you'd like to work for. Okay. So there's that. But so they contact me and they wondered if I would like to do a collaboration for them. They were at the time getting ready to start doing like a new line of basically upholstered headboards. I don't know if any of you remember when Hobby Lobby carried upholstered headboards for just a short period of time. So you could order a headboard from them and they would reupholster it and, this selection of fabrics, etc. So they sent me a headboard. We did a Facebook Live because Facebook Live then became a thing of us, stapling the fabric onto the headboard, etc. And that began a really great relationship with Hobby Lobby. Down the road, I ended up doing a lot of sponsored content for Hobby Lobby. If you've taken my Better Way program, you know what that is. If you have not taken my Better Way program, you're missing this conversation. So essentially, Hobby Lobby would then pay me as an influencer with an audience to go into their stores and do videos. And, there's so many lessons to be learned by this because some of you have products that you wish you could get into the hands of more people. And if you would look for some even just micro influencers, so those are people without huge audiences, but audiences that are very engaged and completely full of your people, you could pay to have them help you promote your products. Can I just tell you, lots cheaper than running Facebook ads. So Hobby Lobby was brilliant in sponsoring, not just me. There were other bloggers and things that they were sponsoring their content. So I would do, like a blog post around Christmas time, and they would compensate me for decorations for Hobby Lobby and then to write the blog post and then to upload it. And it was interesting because once I started doing that, other companies took notice. So then, I was getting contacted and did some content for Pier 1 and then for TJ Maxx. And so I was writing blog posts for them also and doing decorating for them. And so that was a lot of fun. Getting paid to go into a store and shop, like that's the cat's meow. I mean, if you're listening to me right now and you're wondering, I wonder what would be fun in life. It is really fun to shop and get paid to shop. It's really fun to like make and create and get paid to do that from a company you love. So I would go in, do my top favorite things at Hobby Lobby or whatever, and I'd get paid to do that. And that was wonderful. Well, then Hobby Lobby contacted me and they said, hey, and this was, I think, 5 years ago, we're going to be doing like some holiday videos and we'd love to fly you down to Oklahoma City where their home office is and do some videos for Thanksgiving and Christmas of our merchandise. There's going to be a couple other bloggers coming. And so I was with Tater Tots and Jello and Dimples and Tangles, Jennifer from there. So the 3 of us girls were down there. We did some videos, they used those on social media. It was so much fun. And we got to tour the home office. And this is when, I originally loved Hobby Lobby just for the products that they were carrying. But then once I visited the home office, I fell in love with just the vision behind Hobby Lobby as a company and the heart of the CEO, David Green. It was like a next level, what do I want to say? Like operation. Hobby Lobby is huge. Their corporate office is huge, you guys. Takes up blocks and blocks and blocks of space. But it was so amazing to see like the people that they employ to help do things like count beads and put them into packages. People that probably would have a really hard time being employed in most places, in 99.9% of the places. It was fascinating to read like what some of their philosophy is about giving and the organizations that they give to. It was super inspiring to just be, on site where they give all the glory to God. There are, things that talk about their Christian faith in different places. And I loved it. And I got some great pictures and it was a lot of fun and all of the things. The only bummer was David Green wasn't there the day or the couple of days that we were there. So I didn't get to meet him. So after that, was contacted by Hobby Lobby, a couple months, a year later when David Green's first book, Giving It All Away, came out. And I was like, man, I mean, this is super cool. They contacted me and they basically said, hey, we would like to send you his newest book. Would you be interested in taking a peek at it, reading, sharing on social if you feel led? And I was like, I would love to do that. So they sent me a book, which is a signed copy from him. And I was able to, do a Facebook Live about it, etc. So all of that is fine and dandy and great, right? Well, I'm on the call with Pete for our mastermind this week. And Pete says, I'm going to be interviewing David Green for our mastermind, and I'm going to be doing it here in Scottsdale. And it would be fun if any of you were like here in the Scottsdale area, Phoenix, and you'd like to like come in, or you want to just fly in for this David Green meetup to do the interview in person, like you're welcome to. And instantly my heart like leaped. And what's super cool is that Jason was in the next room and he was hearing the conversation because, he can hear through my door. And so he's hearing the meeting. As soon as I get off the phone, he's like, go. Like, you absolutely go. And I was like, yes. So him and I were already going to be down there because we were starting the remodel on the house anyway. So it really was just me staying one more day so I'd be able to go meet David Green in person. So I got to do that on Monday. I got to, I'm going to call it sit under his discipleship. I'm going to call it sit under his leadership. I got to get super inspired by David Green. And it's so inspiring from so many different levels because, he started with $600 in his garage. And if you've never heard the story of how Hobby Lobby got started, I would get that book, The Giving It All Away, because it's fascinating. What's fascinating to me, though, even more than that, is how not only he started something, but that he has continued to build and to build legacy for his family. They have a really unique way of running their organization, a really unique way of giving a ton of money to organizations that they believe in. But above all else, like his mission is to make disciples of men. His mission is to see people get saved and go to heaven. And it was fascinating just to sit and listen to him. Super, super smart business person, right? But also like just the heart for Jesus and the way that he wants to just leave a legacy for his children, his children's children. Like that was what spoke to me the most. And so it was a real full circle moment for me on Monday this week. It really was. It was one of those times when I just sat back and I thought, God, you're so good. I couldn't have seen this 5 years ago. I couldn't have imagined probably at the time that I would ever give up like the crafting and the decorating and all those things to shift completely into coaching. And there would have been zero part of me that would think I would ever be able to actually meet David Green if in fact I did completely give up the decorating and all those things. Now in the back of my head, I've had two hopes and desires for Hobby Lobby. And so if you work at Hobby Lobby's corporate and you're listening, like, hey, this part is for you. One, that they would carry my book. I have pictures I've saved on my phone since I first wrote Fear is Not the Boss of You, of being hopeful that Hobby Lobby would carry my Christian book in their Christian store. So that's still a hope of mine. So you can join with me, all of you listeners, in praying for that. And two, I would love to have a line of product at Hobby Lobby someday. There are other people that have small lines of things that are in, their stores. And I think that I would be a perfect fit for that. So those two things are things you guys can keep in mind for what, when you think of me and you feel led to pray, please do that. But here's what I want to encourage you with today. Okay. Because I got to have this total full circle moment where I was just thinking, God, you're so good. But some of you right now, you might be feeling like you're in a place with your business where you're not feeling that at all. And I want you to know that there's been so many times in the last several years. As entrepreneurs, it's not all up, friends. It's not. It can't be. Entrepreneurship and owning a business, there's ups, there's downs, there's good days, there's bad days. Like there's times when I have to struggle to get through some things. There's times I don't know what to do. There's times, people leave, processes fail, I fail. And if you're in one of those places right now, first of all, I just want to encourage you to keep going. Like you just have no idea who or what is on the other side of your obedience. You have no idea. And I know right now it's probably hard to see how God can take something that maybe feels like barren land and bring some fruit back out of it. But I'm telling you, if you continue to do what God's asking you to do, just wait and watch and see what the Lord does down the road. So I wanted to encourage those of you who feel like things are going too slow, or if you're feeling like everything is so small, your business is so small, it's never getting any momentum. Listen, David Green started with $600 in a garage. I started in painting in other people's houses as a pregnant woman, by the way. 22 years ago. Excuse me. And so, the Bible says we're not to despise small beginnings. So wherever you're at today, just know that every company started at zero, with 0 followers, with $0. And so keep going. You just have literally no idea where God is taking you. And the other thing that I just want to mention is just the importance of investing in your future and investing in relationships and investing in your business in a way that will allow you to be in rooms that you could never put yourself in. I know that when I joined this mastermind, because right now I'm in 2 masterminds, I was like, okay, do I have the time for that? Do I have the capacity for that? Do I want to spend that kind of money, especially knowing, we were purchasing another home. And so, I kind of weighed all those things out. At the end of the day, though, the weighing makes no difference. God had said yes. And so after, I heed and hawed and pros and cons or whatever else, and I knew that the answer was just yes, regardless of what it looked like on paper. And I want you to know that had I not been in a room with somebody that's further along than me, special thank you to Pete Vargas for doing this mastermind, and surrounded by other people who, by the way, the majority of those people, their businesses are much larger than mine. There are some huge businesses, 8 figures a year businesses in the room. And I'm not there yet. Yet being the key word. But there is something to be said for sowing into your own self and sowing into your own business, knowing that you are good soil. Learn that from Pedro Adeo. And being willing to pay for access and being willing to pay for being in a space and being in a room where you can meet people, like I got to meet Tim Tebow through this mastermind. And now I get to meet David Green. There is something to be said for just getting into a room with the right people. Doors open. Conversations happen. You gain access to things and people that you never would be able to on your own. And so I just wanted to encourage you today that if you're someone who's needing a group of people and you want to be in a space where you perhaps can meet people that you never thought you would meet, we're going to be opening up my mastermind soon. You can go to creatorsnextlevel.com and get on the wait list. We'll literally just send you an email when it opens back up. Or if you want to send me a DM and talk to me about it now, I can give you some details in advance. But whether it's my mastermind or somebody else's, if you're sitting here listening right now and you are immediately discounting yourself and your first thought is, I could never do that. Stop right now. Because that logic of I could never do that is not going to help you to grow your business. That thinking of I'm not the type of person who joins a mastermind, it's going to keep you small. That type of thinking of my business isn't big enough to do X, Y, Z. Well, listen, one of the ways that you grow your business is by meeting the type of people that will help to elevate your business, by making relationships in real life happen with people who you can perhaps do collaborations with. Listen, I could have sat at home and watched that Zoom call with David Green, but it was completely different of sitting in the front row and looking him in the face as he's talking and getting that photo with him afterwards. And because I understand proximity, friends, I have a podcast episode on this. If you've never listened to it, send me a message and I'll tell you how to find it. There's something to be said about the physicality. Is that even the word? Of just being like face to face, that proximity. It matters. So get into a room with some people. I'd love to have you in mine. Again, it's creatorsnextlevel.com. It's not open right now. It will be before the end of the year, but it's worth it. And so I'm so glad that I joined this mastermind. I am so glad that God allowed me to just have a full circle moment where I actually got to meet David Green. I'm so glad that he didn't quit when I'm sure there were many times when he wanted to throw in the towel. I can only imagine how grateful his children and his children's children are that he didn't throw in the towel when it was probably very tempting along the way. And so I just want to share that with you this week because it's super cool when God gives you one of those full circle moments. I had one a few years ago. I don't know if you remember this, where I had the opportunity when I started my painting company to to get a job with a big corporation here in Kansas City that does medical records. And I had said no to that. And years later, like 15 years later, I got to paint in the home of the gentleman that was the CEO for that organization. And that was a full circle moment. And I love that God does that he's like, see, aren't you glad that you went down that road that I instructed you to, even if you couldn't see where it was going to end? And so that's my encouragement to you today. Keep going. Don't give up. Don't get bitter about where you are. Figure out, what rooms do you need to be in? Who do you need to link arms with? Who do you need to collaborate with? What do you need to say yes to that God is prompting you to, that perhaps you just have no idea how it's possible? You just never know, I promise you, who or what is on the other side of your obedience. So that's my story. That's my story for this week. I hope that was helpful for someone. And if you loved this podcast, maybe you know somebody who's in business for herself and she's feeling discouraged right now, would you maybe just share this with her? Like literally, you should be able at the bottom of your screen right now to just push the little button that says you can share it. Share it with a couple of your friends. If you get anything out of my podcast every week, that's the best thing you can do for me, is to share my podcast with other people. Because I don't run any ads for my podcast. We're getting ready to hit 5 million downloads before the end of the year on this podcast. And I'd love to do it like before Thanksgiving. I would love for that to happen, but it'll only happen when people share the episodes. So I hope that this was a blessing for you today. I want to thank you so much for being here. Some of you have followed me and you've been clients of mine since back in those days when I was, sneaking around Hobby Lobby doing videos because I wasn't sure if I was going to get in trouble or not. So I just want to thank you too for just being along with me for the ride. And, I lost people when I shifted out of that painting and decorating space and into the coaching space. And I had somebody ask the other day, don't you miss crafting? And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't miss it at all. That was an old season for me, but gosh, it was a fun season. I'm so glad I did it then. Do I want to do it now? I really don't. I don't miss it. I love what I do. But thank you for staying with me through that shift and that pivot of, doing crafting and decorating and DIYing into coaching a lot of people who do. So bless you, friends. I hope this was fun for you to listen to. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye. Friend, thank you so much for listening to the podcast again this week. I'm so honored that you come back for every episode and that you share the Jennifer Allwood Show with your friends and family. Every time I see you guys post about it on Instagram or Facebook or something, it just makes me do a little happy. So thank you. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast if you never want to miss an episode. So you can go to Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Spotify or any of the other podcasting places and subscribe each week so that every week you get the new episode when it releases. So just know that I love bringing you relevant content. I love bringing you great guests. And one of the ways you can help us here at Team Allwood is by leaving the podcast a review. So if you have just a second to do that, would you go over and leave a review for the Jennifer Allwood Show? Thank you again. You're amazing. I'm honored to be here. Until next week. Bye-bye.